News 12 Scott McGee continues our coverage, and he's right near the scene. Scott, just how close are you to where this actually happened?
Well, we've got a pretty good vantage point from here, Chelsea and Lisa. I want to kind of paint a picture for you. You see this string of motorcycle police officers that just came rolling through about 5 seconds ago. Now, in front of them is the medical center. That is where the medical tent where they thought they'd be dealing with sprains and dehydration yesterday. They ended up having to deal with far worse than that. This is Copley Square. This is the area where those explosions occurred. In fact, you got a number of landmarks here. The library off to the left just a little bit, right in front of where those police officers are, the motorcycle officers. That is the public library. Just north of here is, I'm told, where the two explosions occurred, right on the other side of that white medical tent. But there's also something else going on here, guys. Every couple of minutes now, you see someone. In fact, if you look to my right over here, look, there's a couple carrying around a bag. We'll have to wait for this bus to go by here, but every couple of minutes or so, if that, someone will be walking up the street. They'll get into a cab, like this white cab right over here, and they'll have to be taken to the airport. What happened was last night, so many people were staying in hotels, and those hotels had been locked down. So they are either locked out until late in the evening or were locked in all night long. They are now just getting out. They are walking out looking very weary, very tired, obviously ready for this entire experience to end, and they're having to race to the airport to hopefully catch a flight somewhere. And of course, this race is world famous. People fly from not only around the country, but around the world.
All right, Scott, you did touch on this earlier in your other reports. What is the mood of the people in Boston? They are so resilient. What have you seen when you've been talking to people out there this morning?
It's still sort of in that shock area. A lot of folks are just, it reminds them of 9/11. I hear that again and again from people, that it sort of takes them back to 2001. And they can't really believe it's happened, but they, to a man, has said, we're going to have this race again. We are going to continue. We are not going to let this end what has been such a great tradition for the city of Boston. Reporting live in Boston, I'm Scott McGee, News 12.
All right, Scott, thank you so much. Such a difficult morning for everyone waking up in Boston and across the country this morning.
Let's go to Boston right now. Scott McGee has been reporting from there all day. Scott, what is happening right now? What is the mood like in Boston at this hour the day after?
Janine, it is rush hour traffic, but it is anything but business as usual here in Boston today. A lot of people still processing what happened yesterday. I just talked to a woman who was on her way home. Didn't want to go in the train station, though, because she didn't want to be in an enclosed area. Also talked to a couple from Rye. They came for a memorable marathon weekend, but not this kind of memorable.
It was very scary. Frightening.
Vicky Cox isn't talking about the not one, but two explosions that ripped through Copley Square just moments after she crossed the finish line.
Everybody sort of panicked, and people started to run away from that direction.
No, what weighed on her heart and mind so heavily as she fought through those crowds was one thought. Where was her husband, Joe, who was waiting for her somewhere near that finish line that now sat under a cloud of smoke?
The first thing I did was text him and say, I'm okay. And then I texted him again and said, are you okay?
It was pandemonium. At that moment, I said, oh my God, Vicky's somewhere in the finish area. So I started sprinting. The closer I got, the more frightened I got, because I said, oh my God, this is crazy here.
But from somewhere in that craziness, Joe received those two precious words from Vicky. I'm okay. And moments later, the search and the fear were gone.
When we found each other, it was very emotional.
It was amazing.
The pain of running 26 miles washed away in an instant. But they knew they could walk away from a tragedy others didn't.
We're happy that we're both okay, and heartsick for the people that are not.
And we just got word a few minutes ago that there is a news conference scheduled for 5 o'clock tonight. We're hoping to get maybe an update on the suspect, the search for the person responsible. I think an arrest or some movement in that direction would certainly go a long way, Janine, in easing some of the fear still here, knowing that there is a murderer still on the loose.
Scott, you said it best. You feel people there. It's just not an ordinary rush hour in Boston right now, is it?
No, it is not. A lot of people said that that did go to work today said that the offices were maybe half full. A lot of people just wanted to stay home.
All right, and we certainly know, Scott, thank you. Of course, we'll get right back to you in a few minutes.
News 12's Scott McGee continues our Team 12 coverage in Boston this afternoon with more on a growing memorial for the victims.
I'm at what has really become the epicenter of activity, at least for the people of Boston. You know, we're on Boylston Street. This was part of the marathon route. And it's right down here, about 300 yards down that way. That was the finish line. This is where, of course, the bombs rang out Monday afternoon. And so this barricade is as close as we're going to get, and this has become a makeshift memorial here. So many people leaving messages behind. Keep on running Boston. Stay strong Boston. A very common theme amongst all of these signs that have been left. Also a number of interesting items. You see this medal here. Now, it's a big deal to earn one of those medals. You have to finish the 26.2 miles to get it. Someone thought it was important enough to leave that medal behind. Next to that, a rosary, of course. So many messages of part of the spirit here that they want people to know how they feel about it. In fact, part of that, see these yellow flowers here. I just talked to a couple of the young ladies who left those flowers just a minute ago. They were new to this area. They said for them coming down here was sort of a sense of healing, just to be here and to send the message that Boston is strong and that what has happened here will not stop, certainly not stop the race and not stop the people of Boston. Reporting in Boston, I'm Scott McGee, News 12.